myself, council members Benton, Bradford, Gregg, Vice Chair Huffman, Nash, and Weiner. We do not have anyone signed up for public comment. I do have a proposed consent agenda. First item on the proposed consent agenda is item number 1, RS 2025-1063, item number 2, RS 2025-1064, and item number 3, RS 2025-1065. Is there anyone who needs to pull anything off of my proposed consent agenda? All right, seeing no requests, we'll go ahead and move forward with reading item number 1, RS 2025-1063, a resolution approving an emergency management performance grant application from the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency to the Metropolitan Government acting by and through the Office of Emergency Management to coordinate, prioritize, and conduct specialty hazardous materials and general emergency management training for the jurisdiction's response personnel by sponsors Toombs, Porterfield, Evans, and others. Item number 2, RS 2025-1064, a resolution accepting a grant from the Tennessee Department of Finance and Administration to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Office of Family Safety to fund staffing positions to help manage the multidisciplinary needs of its clients by sponsors Toombs, Porterfield, Evans, and others. Item number 3, RS 2025-1065, a resolution approving a contract between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County and Forensic Technology Incorporated to provide forensic technology equipment and/or safeguard warranty and protection plan for the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department by sponsors Toombs, Porterfield, and Evans. Do I have a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Anyone not voting? All right, thank you. We recommended approval, 7 in favor, 0 against. Oh, okay. 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting on our consent agenda. Let's go to bills on second reading. Item number 4, BL 2025-743, an ordinance to amend Chapter 12.16 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws relative to drag racing by sponsors Huffman, Ellis, Stiles, and others. Do I have a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. I'm going to recognize the sponsor, Councilmember Huffman.
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of quick things that I want to point out regarding this legislation. First off, if you've read the analysis, you see that highlights that currently this is unenforceable if this does pass due to state preemption. I am currently in the process of getting an amendment added. If that does not, on the state level to a current bill, if that does not work out, I do plan on withdrawing this on 3rd. So I'm happy to answer any questions for anybody, but essentially what this looks to do is to give some teeth to the problem that really a lot of our communities have been facing recently regarding street racing. It essentially would require a 30-day seizure anytime you were caught street racing within the Davidson County limits. On top of that, there would be a $50 fine, which I've had several constituents reach out to about. We're capped on what we can do by the state. So anyway, I'll answer any questions if anybody's got any.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Huffman. I think I saw Councilmember Bradford. You're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. This question is going to be directed towards MMPD if Captain Gilder is here. Question I have for this is the way the bill's written, if someone is arrested and they are not the owner of the car is not impounded. My question is there any current policy when cars are recovered and they are stolen or they do not belong to the individual picked up, any policy about notification of the car owner?
So if the car is stolen, it is impounded, it's taken into custody in order for it to be returned to the rightful owner of the vehicle, or we get the owner to the scene and return it to them there. If you're talking about taking a car, like in the instance of an impoundment, or currently there is a provision within state law that allows seizures for forfeiture of vehicles that are utilized in drag racing, but there's a lot of problems with the state law that permits that. And it has provisions in there as well that you basically have to be the owner of the vehicle. And if there is another person that's the owner of the vehicle or there's a lien holder, then you're not going to be able to seize the vehicle for forfeiture. In other words, if it's my car and I don't know that somebody else that's using my car is using it illegally, then I shouldn't lose my car because that's the concept.
So basically, if someone was using your car for drag racing and this law was passed, they're arrested for drag racing, then MMPD would notify you, say, hey, someone was using your car for drag racing. Your car is here. We're giving you time to come pick it up.
Yeah, as written, I think that's what we would do, document it, and then notify them, document that notification process, because as written, my recollection is that it, on a second offense, basically the first time as an owner, you don't know. If you've been notified and you have knowledge, second time and from there on out, then it's subject to impoundment. So we would want to make sure we have a process for notification and documenting that.
Okay, that was really my only question about this was, if I let Councilmember Huffman borrow my car, then I get a phone call from MMPD that he was out being reckless on Bell Road, I'd want to know that my car is okay and that I can go pick it up. So with that, I'm good with this, and I appreciate the answer to the question.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Nash, you're recognized.
This might be for Chief Gilder here, too. Currently, under state law, drag racing is a Class E felony. And the state law also permits seizure of the vehicle, especially if there's serious bodily injury or participant passenger or bystander. Drag racing shall be punished as provided. So I guess I know Metro Code often has codes that mirror state law. And generally, especially with crimes of this serious nature, we tend to go for the state, or used to anyway, go for the state offense, greater penalty, a little bigger hammer. Is that still the case? What do we do now?
So I think generally speaking, you're correct. If there's a state offense, then we would enforce that offense because it is typically either a higher penalty and or arrestable. As Councilmember Huffman noted, the Metro Code, the maximum fine that you can impose is $50. That's because the state constitution caps that fine at that amount unless you are providing that person with a jury trial or the right to trial. So that's why the cap on the $50 fine. But in this instance, the state statute that allows for the seizure, it follows a different process than like drug seizures does. And it kind of is tied to the criminal case. And so it gets a little messy, particularly as cases get settled. It makes the forfeiture process basically extremely difficult. This would not be a forfeiture process. This would be an impoundment. And so I do see value in that it basically doesn't have to rely on this forfeiture process because it's not a situation where we're interested in keeping the car as much as it would be. I think it's the person's going to think twice before they're using the car in that manner again, because now they're without their car for a period of time, and then there's costs associated with towing and impounding a vehicle.
Just one little thought. So this may be for our legal director too. Is there not an impoundment feature in state law at all?
I'm not aware of one. The only process I'm aware of is the forfeiture process.
Okay. That may be something we want to talk to the state about, but yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Let me go back to Councilmember Huffman, then we'll get to Councilmember Suara.
Thank you to my colleague for that question. That's exactly what I'm trying to do on the state level right now. I'm trying to allow them to free up local municipalities to be able to seize vehicles in these instances. You're exactly right. It is a Class E felony, or Class D felony, excuse me, currently in this state. However, and I'm going to be politically correct on how I word this, in a climate in which a lot of cases are dismissed, this would be a way that we can actually make sure that we can hit a street racer where it hurts.
Thank you, Councilmember Huffman. Councilmember Suara, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. This is a question for the administration. especially when we're always being scared by the state is going to come after us. Don't poke the bear. So what is the administration take on a bill that we said is unenforceable, could be preempted? Do you have any stance on that?
You're on.
Thank you. The bill is preempted, so it won't have an effect one way or another. I don't know what more to say than that.
Thank you. So if I then will go to the sponsor, if this is a null and void bill pretty much, so what is the point of moving ahead and not waiting until the state clears it before we move ahead?
Councilmember Huffman.
Thank you for that question. Once again, I'm currently running parallel an effort at the state. And if this effort is not successful in the next 2 weeks, I will withdraw the bill.
Thank you, Councilmember Huffman. Any other discussion on this item? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move to the vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Anyone not voting? All right, so we recommend approval, 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. All right, we're going to move on, and we have a presentation today from the Nashville Police and Public Safety Alliance, and so we'll invite our guests down to the front. Welcome. All right, take care. Hello, thank you. And both your microphones should be on, but let's test those, and if you could introduce yourselves.
Can you hear me?
Hit the little button there, Pat, where it says push.
Check. Okay.
I think it's on now.
William, do you want to try yours?
Yeah, check. Mine's on.
Okay, perfect. All right, thank you. Carry on. Let's go.
Thank you very much. Thank you for allowing us this time today. We really appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day. We appreciate all that you do for the city. I am Pat Shea, for those of you who do not know me. I am the founder and CEO of the Nashville Police and Public Safety Alliance. I've been in Nashville a little over 40 years. For the first 20 years of my career, I was in the for-profit space. I worked in healthcare, market research, and leadership consulting. But for the past 20 years, and I know that seems hard to imagine, I have been working in the nonprofit sector. So I've been involved in 5 different nonprofits.
And I'm William Janus. I have the privilege of being the Vice President of Partnerships and Programs for the Nashville Police and Public Safety Alliance. My background is actually as an educator. I spent the last 11 and 12 years as a teacher. I've been an assistant principal, and was a chief schools officer for a small network of schools in upstate New York. I'm really excited to be back in Nashville doing this work alongside Pat Shea.
So the Nashville Police and Public Safety Alliance was created by a small group of volunteers who wanted to do more in Nashville to make Nashville safer, support public safety, and support the police department. We're not even 2 years old. We're about 18 months old. We officially got our 501c3 mid-summer of 2023. Our mission is to create a safer Nashville, and we do that by creating and facilitating partnerships and projects, because we want to invite the community in, and we believe that community safety is the responsibility of all of us. We are a completely independent 501c3, and we are run by a board of directors. Our values include transparency. What we do in public, and we do it for the public. We also want to be, and we are working hard to always have data around every move we make. So we want public sentiment. We want statistics on public safety. We are creating data to follow up the projects that we do so that we can make sure that those projects do, in fact, have a positive impact. We are problem solvers. So we are looking for solutions that we can implement in Nashville that will have a positive impact on public safety. And we always want to hear and elevate the voices of our customers. And we see those customers as the Nashville community. Any small group, large group, any group that we work with, we are always going to be asking them what they think, how they feel, and how they will be impacted by the work that we do. We are not, and this is a question I get asked a lot, we're not an extension of the police department. We're not a police foundation. We are not an oversight committee in any way, shape, or form, and we are not a political advocacy group. Again, what we do in this community is find partners and facilitate partnerships and projects in partnership with the police department to improve public safety. Did I miss anything?
You got it.
Okay, I mentioned earlier that we are managed by a board of directors. As of January, we have 14 board members who are very actively involved. They set the guardrails, approve our budget, approve our strategic plan, do all the things that a traditional board would do. We have 2 board members with us today. Our board chair, Dan Hogan, is in the back of the room. I know a lot of you know Dan. And then we also have Diego Eguduarte, and Diego was actually the recommended board member from the mayor's office. So we were grateful that he was willing to join us this January. We're kind of a small staff up until, Halim was the only full-time person until last October. I joined full-time in October, and then we have brought on a administrative office manager who started late December. So our pillars are pretty simple, and like I said, this has really been established and approved by our board of directors. Our pillars are where we focus our efforts, and our goal is to try to achieve work in every one of these pillars, so a great project cuts across all. Number one, we want to prevent or at least reduce crime with the projects we take on. 2, we want to increase community engagement, and for us that means increasing the engagement of the community with the police department, of the community in public safety. We also want to increase the engagement of the police department. We want to introduce to Nashville best practices and innovations. We look for ideas that have been successful in Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Phoenix, somewhere else, and we want to bring those to Nashville. But we also talk to people locally, nonprofits who have great ideas that are working but maybe just underfunded and need a little more support and a little more energy. And finally, we really want Nashville to have the best police department in the country. And so we want to do those things that might elevate, support, and make our police department have that position of honor. So why create a police and public safety alliance? Well, like I said, there was a small group of folks that came together and investigated what would be the opportunity in the public safety space. We all know, and I'm sort of preaching to the choir, I've done this presentation for other groups. You guys know this better than we. Public safety is a huge deal. Public safety is freedom. If we are not safe, we are not free. It's also a significant indicator of our economic success as a city. If we are safe, our employers have jobs for us. They have employees. We have a quality of life that Nashville really benefits from every single day. We did research, and our research supported the idea that neighbors, neighborhoods, religious organizations, schools, businesses, and nonprofits were interested in being involved in finding solutions for public safety. And they want to be invited to the table. It was fascinating. When we started this, we met with Dr. Adrienne Battle, and we told her what we were trying to do. And she said, I understand completely, because when we were working on truancy, and we invited the parents in and shared with them what we needed them to do, things got better really fast. So again, we think when we invite the community in to work on public safety, they're interested, things will change more quickly. And so again, what we're trying to do is be part of that solution. We're not the overall solution. It is just our individual projects that Halim's going to talk through in a minute, that we think one by one we have an impact, a positive impact on this community. Our approach is very simple. It's based on the idea of collaboration, partnerships between community entities interested in improving safety and the police department and our alliance. So why invite partners? Well, number one, partners bring additional resources. They share their expertise, their money, their assets, their influence. We can do so much more together than we can do independently. They also enhance your credibility and make your solutions more stable. Halim and I just work on the pilot. We just work on the beginning, but once a project takes off, has legs and is successful, that project is owned by our partners. They continue. It has longevity. We've also seen that the more closely community partners work with our police department, the more knowledgeable and familiar they become with the police department. And they actually understand and begin to build relationships. So strategic, well-facilitated partnerships focused on a common goal always work out. And my personal example was when I was running the YWCA, I got to the position in 2005. The way this city responded to domestic violence was not really acceptable. Over my 11 years as a CEO, I worked with 3 different chiefs. I worked with multiple mayors, and we were really able to impact the way the city responded to domestic violence in a very positive way. And I got to give a big shout out because one of my best partners was Diane Lance. So here I'm going to turn it over to Halim to tell you a little more about the kinds of projects that we are working on and the way that we handle our projects.
Thank you, Pat. And that wind is howling, isn't it? So our approach, we believe, is unique in how we address the work that we do. And here we have on the screen our theory of change, really. Our first step is to identify issues and potential solutions impacting Nashville's public safety. Then the next step, which is really critical, is mobilizing partners. As Pat has already mentioned, our work is really predicated on our ability to build broad and diverse coalitions in an effort to improve public safety. The next then is to facilitate that collaboration. That is the Alliance's main responsibility, especially as we move into that 4th stage, which is building out the pilot and executing the pilot of the solution that we believe has the potential to improve whatever that challenge is. And then as we move from the pilot, we move from the execution of the pilot, we move into that 5th stage, which is to share what we've learned. The ultimate goal is always going to be that we scale that pilot into something enduring, but the purpose of the pilot is to test viability. And then, if we determine that that solution is viable, we move into that 5th stage, which is we share what we've learned, and then we support the partner organization and the police department to scale that solution. And then here are some examples of our work. I won't go through all of these because Pat and I are eager to take questions, but this body actually approved one of our first projects, which is the Aspire Leadership Development Institute that lives within the police department. There are about 300 officers that are going to go through that pilot over the next 2.5 years. We have 60 officers currently going through that pilot. Those are all field training officers, sergeants, and the professional support staff that work in the department. We are working on a new project that we're really excited about. Pat mentioned Diane Lance and the Office of Family Safety. We are working in collaboration with the Office of Family Safety, Sexual Assault Center, and one of our board members, Diego, and his company, Viva, to determine how we can support those organizations in amplifying their message and communicating, in particular, to a community that is very vulnerable, the immigrant and refugee community. And in this particular pilot, we are looking at working specifically targeting the Spanish-speaking community. We're really excited about the work that we're able to do there, and we hope to share more as that project gets off the ground. We are technology forward, as Pat talked about, research and data being how we drive our initiatives. We also believe that technology and innovation are going to play a tremendous role in improving public safety in Nashville. And so we are constantly exploring and researching technological and innovative best practices. And there are several examples that we found that we hope to continue to support. And then the last thing, I want to talk about youth engagement for sure. And so a big part of our priority as we look at our strategic plan, as we finalize that document, is youth engagement. And so the ways in which we engage young people across the city of Nashville, not just solely in talking about public safety, but the way that we engage them in thinking about how they can be leaders in their community and how they can work to solve challenges together. And we're excited about some of the work that we've got working and going in that area as well. And then lastly, I'll name our research and data initiatives. We are building on the work that we started last year. We shared We did like a big sort of annual research that we conducted at the end of the summer last year. And as that project wrapped up, we shared that report with all the members of this body, and we're happy to share it again if that's helpful. And we've shared it far and wide. We are looking to build on the work that we've done there. We want to do more of that kind of work. We want to do it with more frequency. I recently was able to share that research at a community meeting, and one of the biggest pieces of feedback was we want to see information about public safety being shared with more frequency. And so we're looking into ways to share a quarterly report, as well as opportunities to engage in some focus groups and other initiatives. Pat, did I miss anything?
No, that's great. Thank you very much. And so really, like we said, we're very grateful that you've given us this little bit of time today. We wanted you to have a name and a face with this initiative. We want to take your questions, but our biggest question is how can we work with you? How can we work for you? Because the job you have for the city is huge.
Yep.
And we love Nashville. And like I said, I've been here for over 40 years. I'm going to retire here. Hopefully, I'm going to have grandkids here at some point. Y'all know my son. Talk to him about that. I know. You know him. He loves you. So please ask us anything, and then let us know how we can be helpful.
All right, thank you so much. Let's, anybody have questions that they would like to ask? Councilmember Huffman, you're recognized.
Thank you both for coming today. Great presentation. I'm very curious, in your 18 months, I think you said,
Yes,
of
sir.
existence, what kind of feedback have you gotten in the community as you've engaged through your first 18 months is my first question.
So I think we've been surprised. I mean, we did some research and talked to a lot of people before we actually filed our 501c3, but we've had more people reach out to us and ask us how they can get involved. As you all know, the concern for public safety is huge. And so we've had individuals, we've had nonprofits, we've had businesses, we've had coalitions. And for us, the process of vetting whether they fit our model is really something that we're learning to do more quickly. But the community response in general has been very positive. Now, you can imagine there are folks that we have talked to that really don't want to work in partnership with the police department. And so those folks are not really a good fit for us.
Thank you. What about interactions with neighborhood organizations? Has there been any experience with that since you guys were founded?
We haven't done a lot of intentional work with specifically neighborhood organizations. I've been invited to a couple of community meetings, and I've been able to engage folks in that way. As we talked about our data initiative, we would love to engage more with neighborhoods. One of the pieces of feedback that we got about our data is folks would love to see it on the neighborhood level. If you know how many neighborhoods are in Nashville, that's really hard, but we would love to try to figure that out. So if you want to connect us, we'd love that. We'd love to get connected in the neighborhood groups and to begin to be able to do research on that neighborhood level.
I would love to do that, and I will accept that invitation. So
Thank
look
you.
forward to continuing the conversation. Thanks.
Neighborhoods are the sweet spot. That's where it all happens, and that really is our ultimate goal. We have been talking to a few religious organizations, but we don't have any projects with them yet, so.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I came from a neighborhood organization. My colleague to the right of me also did. Chair Evans did. I think a lot of us did. So you really get a sense of where Nashville is on an issue in a neighborhood organization. Yeah, so can't emphasize that enough. Thank you.
Well, and if you remember our research, I think it was 73% of Nashvillians said they felt somewhat or very safe, but about 50% said not as safe as they were 5 years ago. And I think that would be very different by neighborhood. And so we're excited to find out more.
Yeah, thank you. How about other questions? Councilmember Gregg.
Thank you. I'm curious to learn more about the youth engagement piece. Are you creating programming or are you creating a best practices model? I just would like to understand more specifically about that area of work.
Yeah, we might need to schedule some time because there's a lot. We can say, we talked about our model. we will not create the programming for youth engagement. What we are interested in doing, it's a couple of things. It's partnering with organizations who are currently doing that work, and we've been in conversation with a handful. Another initiative that we're working on is there's a number of partners around the table. We are looking into a de-escalation and conflict resolution curriculum or project or training for young people. It's still in its very infantile stage. But that is an opportunity that we think, that's a project we think has a lot of opportunity and potential. We are bringing the experts in, because I won't speak for Pat, but I am not an expert in youth de-escalation. But for example, one of our partners, can I name our partners?
Yeah.
Lipscomb University, Dr. Joyner, over the Conflict Resolution School, Big Brothers Big Sisters, looking at supporting us in delivering what we develop. Family Children Service, Michael McSurdy over there, and his leadership is really important in helping us think about what that project can be. And then STARS, the team led by Roger Dinwiddie, are also helping us think about what this could be, and then also thinking about who will deliver it. And then the Alliance, of course, is committed to supporting the pilot and the creation and then the pilot and execution. So there's a lot more I can say. If you're interested in learning more, I'd love to chat more with you.
I would welcome that. I have a few ideas myself, so let's
Good.
find time for
And
that.
partners, that would be great.
Thank you, Councilmember Craig. How about any other questions? All right. Well, we really appreciate you being here. I know it's been several months ago that we first started talking about you coming, and I appreciate your patience as we navigated getting you on the schedule based on our holidays after the new year. I think this kind of information is really important. I think some of our challenges related to some of our previous conversations, particularly about Zen City, which is, the data collection tool that we talked about previously. I think some of those challenges were related to not necessarily being able to understand the organization and kind of your direction. I think that was a component, probably wasn't all of it. And so I really appreciate you being here to kind of level set, like, what are you about? What are you up to? Kind of what your vision is. I'm really interested in kind of ongoing, like, the transparency piece, because I think that's going to be so critical with everything that we do in relation to, when something comes before us, for us to be able to understand and learn. So hopefully this will not be your last visit. And it's just your first, but I do appreciate you all being here. And thank
Well-
you to the board for being here as well.
Thank you very much. We learned a lot. When you're new, you have to learn everything the hard way, right? Yeah. And we have had the opportunity to meet with many council people one-on-one, and we offer that invitation to anyone. Thank you for taking time, for teaching us and being patient with us.
Yes, thank you both. All right. Are there any department heads that have anything they need to update the committee on? Mr. Young, Deputy Chief Gilder? Nope. Seeing no updates. Okay, well then we will adjourn. Thank you.
Your son was